Hi, Glenn Phillips here with Lake Homes Realty and lakehomes.com. So, today I want to talk about 5 ways overpricing a lake home cost sellers. I'm talking real dollars. You say, hey, let's just test the market. You know what the test is? Test is you will probably fail and it will cost you cash. Could there be exceptions? Of course. But somebody wins the lottery. That's not what we're trying to do here. If you're wanting to sell your lake property, do so in a way that's going to net you the most money. And overpricing is not one of the ways. And I'm going to explain why. All right. Point number 1 is the buyers today are more knowledgeable than any time in human history. They have access to the websites like lakehomes.com. They study the transactions. They have access to other data. And they've studied a market where they're looking. And they understand, they can almost smell an overpriced home by just glancing. Yeah, that's overpriced. That's not going anywhere. And they dismiss it. And that's a real problem because if you put your home on the market and it's overpriced and nobody comes to look at it and nobody asks, you're going to be forced to start doing price cuts. And that's going to lead to a problem I'm going to talk about in a second. There's also a problem if, let's say you do price it above what the agent recommends and you do get an offer and like, hey, we've hit the home run here, and they're getting a mortgage and it fails to appraise. Now, during the COVID frenzy, they failed to appraise, but that was because the prices had jumped up and there were these pre-COVID prices that there was no comps for. And at that time, buyers were willing to cover an appraisal gap. Well, those days are over. The comps have caught up, and so now there's a new standard of what is the current market, where are we at, and if you price way above that, as if it's COVID pricing, oh, I can just charge more and somebody will pay it. You get an offer, it doesn't appraise, there's no appraisal gap coming. Your deal's going to fall apart by failure to get lender approval, in which case you're back on the market again, which leads me to point number 3 of one of the ways overpricing costs you money is increased days on market. Whether you put it on that market and nobody comes and makes an offer, or you put it on the market, you get an offer, the deal falls apart because it was overpriced, and it goes back on the market. Many people think, oh, it's just overpriced, it'll finally price right, I'll be patient. But there's this group thing, nobody else has gotten this house off the market. What's wrong with it? They don't necessarily say that, but it becomes stale. It sat, it didn't move. Now, you say, well, I test the market, so we're going to cut the price. So then you're going to do another. Well, price cuts lead to low offers. Don't be offended by it if you've overpriced, because there are 2 or 3 things happening. So as a seller, you think, hey, I'm going to test the market, and we'll price it here. If it doesn't work, we'll chop it, and then find where the market likes it. And you can do that, but then where the market may not love it, they may just say, you've reached a range of price that I'll at least talk to you about it, but I'm still not paying your overprice, but I'll come in with a low offer. Well, that means you probably have more cutting to do, and you may be upset going, look, I've cut it 3 times. Why should I cut again? You should cut again because the market is telling you it's still overpriced if you want a transaction. Same thing, the buyer's going, it's overpriced. I'm not even going to bother with time. I'm not going to ask about it. I'm not going to go look at it. It's not worth my time. The seller may not be reasonable. You give it time and they work through that process, and the price comes down, they make that offer, and then the seller refuses to negotiate. It's like, look, at least you've got an offer to deal with, and you were overpriced to begin with. You're at least getting in the range we can talk about it. So this again is going to be more cut and more financial damage because you overpriced. And then the final point I want to finish with is a lot of people overprice their homes and they don't get any action. They go to their real estate agent, but it's one of ours or somebody else. It doesn't matter. It's the same story. You need to market my house better. Now let's think about that. These homes are featured on websites all across the country. LakeHomes.com has millions of visitors, and our agents' listings are featured. But even if you're not one of our agents, there's exposure. We have millions of visitors to our website looking at properties. Plus, locally, the agents in the market would love to bring their own buyer to sell to someone who's selling a lake home. But if there are no offers, this isn't an exposure problem. This isn't a marketing problem. What they're saying is, my overpriced home hasn't sold, says, you, Mr. Agent, haven't gone out and found someone who's willing to overpay. Well, I don't know anybody that wants to do that, and your buyers are knowledgeable. So marketing doesn't fix it. Marketing can fix a lot of things, but there are really 2 things that affect price, and that is exposure. Do people know about it? If you put it in websites that syndicate across the country, appear on lakehomes.com, that's solved. And price. And price fixes every other problem you can imagine. It fixes condition, it fixes location, it fixes a host of things. The question is, can you be realistic about it? A knowledgeable lake-focused agent can give you a comparable market analysis to show you, look, this is the price that these homes are going to go in. If you insist on overpricing, it almost always costs you money. We'd rather you get the most money you can for your house, and the way to do that is to price appropriately from the start and not game yourself to a long, painful journey to less money. Hope this information's been helpful. I hope you get as much as you want for your house. If you're selling, I hope you get the best deal you can if you're buying. We have agents that are good at both of these that specialize in the lake market that you can find at lakehomes.com, plus tens of thousands of properties that are actively for sale right now across the country at the lake that you're interested in or you're wanting to discover. Be sure and visit us at lakehomes.com. Hope this has been helpful and have a great day. For more information, be sure to check out lakehomes.com.